They're silent, but they scream. A flick of the wrist, a bend of the finger, a gesture no longer than a heartbeat, and just like that, a message is sent. Maybe it's a greeting, maybe it's a threat, or maybe it's a sign of allegiance, so deep that it carries the weight of life and death. Gang signs are more than just hand gestures. They are codes, languages, identities, stitched into the very fabric of street culture for over a century. You've probably seen them flashed in music videos, in mugshots, on album covers, or across street corners lost to time. But what do they really mean? Where did they come from? And why do they still hold so much power? This is the story of gang signs, a symbol of unity, a weapon of intimidation, a misunderstood language born from the streets and echoed across the world. Chapter 1. The origins of the sign. To understand gang signs, we have to go back, way back, to a time before modern street gangs. Throughout human history, hand gestures have always played a role in communication. Ancient secret societies, military factions, and even indigenous tribes had symbols to recognize one another. From Masonic handshakes to Roman military salutes, coded gestures have always existed in some form. But the roots of the modern gang sign trace most directly to the streets of early 20th century America, specifically Los Angeles and Chicago. As immigrant communities were forced into segregated neighborhoods and excluded from the American dream, they began forming close-knit groups for protection. These groups evolved into gangs. In East LA, Mexican-American youth began creating a culture of their own, known as Chicano culture. From lowriders to zoot suits, they had a unique identity, and hand signs were part of it, representing their barrio, neighborhood, their pride, and their people. Meanwhile, black street gangs like the Bloods and Crips began forming in the 1960s and 70s, originally, ironically, as protection groups against police brutality and white supremacist groups. But the crack epidemic, poverty, and police crackdowns pushed them deeper into violence. As the streets became battlegrounds, signs became shields. Each gang needed to communicate without speaking, whether it was a warning, a show of power, or just a way to say, "I got your back." Gang signs became their silent language. Chapter 2. The Art of the Sign. Styles and symbols. Not all signs are created equal. Some are simple, a peace sign twisted to mean something darker. Others are intricate, fingers curled, overlapped, reversed, forming letters or numbers depending on the gang. The Crips, for example, famously spell out CK, a taunt to the Bloods, who despise the letter C and refer to Crips as crabs. Bloods, in turn, cross out the C in writing and use the word B excessively. Bombing instead of coming, boo instead of cool. Language and signs bleed into one another. Chicago's gangster disciples, GD, use a pitchfork pointing up, signifying power and growth. Their rivals, the Vice Lords, use a 5-point star and the crescent moon, symbols borrowed from Islam and repurposed for gang identity. Latin Kings, another major gang, use the 5-point crown. It's not just a drawing. Members will place their hands over their head, mimicking the crown, as a salute, a threat, or a representation of amour de re, love of the king. Then there are hybrid signs, hand signals combined with tattoos, graffiti tags, or colors. A blue rag tied to the left pocket, a teardrop under the eye, a crossed-out rival tag sprayed on a wall. They all form part of the gang's visual language. Chapter 3. A language of survival and identity. Gang signs aren't just for flexing. They're used to survive. In areas like South Central LA, flashing the wrong sign, or not knowing the signs, can cost you your life. Youngsters growing up in gang-dominated areas learn them not because they want to, but because they have to. Signs are used to navigate the streets, to identify friend or foe, to avoid dangerous zones. For those inside the gang, it's more than communication. It's a mark of identity. Throwing up the set, your gang sign, is a public declaration. This is who I am. This is where I belong. Some signs carry rituals. Before you can even throw them up, you might have to earn the right through initiation, acts of violence, or proving your loyalty. And once you're in, throwing the wrong sign or hesitating can mean disrespect and punishment. The signs become muscle memory, a way to say, I'm with you, or I'm watching you. Silent, but loud. Chapter 84, Initiation, Enforcement, and Blood Oaths. Joining a gang is not just about affiliation, it's about transformation. And part of that transformation involves learning and mastering the signs. New recruits are often jumped in, a brutal ritual where multiple gang members beat the newcomer to test their toughness. Once accepted, they're taught the codes, graffiti styles, slangs, colors, and, most importantly, signs. It's not just about doing the sign, it's about doing it right. Sloppy signs are a sign of weakness. In some gangs, if you throw up a rival's sign, even by mistake, it's considered treason. Punishments can be severe. Some gang members have been beaten, expelled, or worse, killed for throwing the wrong sign or flashing one at the wrong time. Inside prison systems, signs carry even more weight. They're used to align with race-based gangs, call for protection, or issue silent commands. The consequences of misuse in prison are deadly. Chapter 5. From the Streets to the Studio. Media and rap culture you have seen the signs before you ever knew what they meant. Tupac, Snoop Dogg, NWA, drill rappers from Chicago, trap artists from Atlanta. Bloods and Crips references litter the lyrics and music videos. Hands twisted into symbols that millions now imitate, often without understanding. Hip-hop didn't invent gang signs, but it did popularize them. Rap music is deeply intertwined with gang culture. Many rappers are, or were, affiliated. And throwing up a sign on camera is not just about authenticity, it's a branding move. It says, I'm real. I lived this life. But the commodification of gang signs in pop culture has a double edge. On one hand, it gives voice to the voiceless. On the other, it glamorizes a violent reality that costs lives. Social media has amplified the reach. Instagram stories, TikTok challenges, even emoji equivalents. Signs are everywhere now, and sometimes the line between art and reality blurs. Chapter 6. The law, the cops, and the courts gang signs have entered the courtroom. Law enforcement, across the U.S. and increasingly abroad, use gang signs as evidence. A photo of someone flashing a sign might be used to prove gang affiliation. Even casual or joking gestures can be weaponized in court, especially for Black and Latino defendants. Police use gang databases, often secretive and unregulated, to catalog individuals who they believe are gang members. A teenager seen throwing up a sign in a rap video might find themselves listed in a database without ever committing a crime. Civil rights groups have raised alarms. Is a hand gesture enough to justify surveillance, arrest, deportation? The ACLU argues that these practices violate freedom of expression and lead to racial profiling. But from the law enforcement perspective, signs matter. They're a tool to understand threats, track rivalries, and prevent violence. For better or worse, gang signs have become a battlefield, in both the streets and the courts. Chapter 7. When signs get misused. The innocents at risk pop stars do it. Tourists do it. TikTokers do it. But sometimes flashing a sign for fun can have serious consequences. There have been cases of tourists being beaten, or even killed, for throwing up a gang sign in the wrong neighborhood. Celebrities like Justin Bieber and Chris Brown have faced backlash for casually throwing signs on camera. In 2017, a 15-year-old boy in Chicago was shot dead for flashing what a rival gang thought was a disrespectful sign. He wasn't even affiliated. The problem isn't just danger, it's misunderstanding. Many signs look similar. A peace sign, a West Side W, a crossed finger. One gesture in one city might be harmless, but a death sentence elsewhere. This is why education matters. Communities, schools, and even social media platforms have begun spreading awareness. Don't play with what you don't understand. Chapter 8. From Gang to Growth, Rehabilitation and Hope. Not all stories end in violence. Many ex-gang members leave the life behind, and with it, the signs. Programs like Homeboy Industries in LA or Cure Violence in Chicago help former members transition out, offering counseling, tattoo removal, and jobs. For many, leaving the signs behind is symbolic. It means reclaiming identity, no longer bound by the past. Some use their former knowledge for good, mentoring youth, decoding gang language for law enforcement, or speaking out about the dangers of glamorizing gang life. The journey out is hard, but the signs can also symbolize hope, if flipped. Chapter 9. Beyond America. Global gang signs. Gang culture isn't just American anymore. In El Salvador, the MS-13 and Barrio 18 gangs use intricate signs, some so complex they look like dances. In the UK, drill rap has fused with gang symbolism, including hand signs borrowed from the US and Caribbean crews. In Japan, Yakuza tattoos serve similar identification purposes, though signs are less hand-based. Signs cross borders. Globalization means a gang in Paris might use a symbol from LA without knowing its roots, but the core idea remains: identity, loyalty, and code. Chapter 10. The Digital Era. Signs go online. We live in the emoji age. Gang signs are now shared through photos, emojis, memes. A pistol emoji, a red bandana, a hand gesture over a selfie. It's the evolution of the sign, from the alleyway to the algorithm. Police now monitor gang activity online through Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. Gangs recruit, threaten, and flex online. Cyberbanging is a real phenomenon. Digital beef leading to real-life violence. Some gangs even adapt their signs to avoid detection, like using numbers instead of letters, or creating brand new gestures with obscure meanings. Conclusion: silent, symbols, lasting, echo. Gang signs are powerful because they're silent. They can say, "This is who I am. These are my people." But they can also say, "Stay away. This is war." To some, they represent unity and survival. To others, they are symbols of fear and death. Like language itself, they evolve, adapt, spread. From back alleys in LA to music videos watched by millions. The real question is not just what gang signs are, but what they represent. A world of belonging and betrayal, identity and danger. Understanding them isn't glorifying them. It's decoding a language written by the streets and whispered by hands.